Okay, so Stella's sitting here chewing on a bone. So that's the noise, and she'll probably interrupt me as soon as she wants something else. Okay, so now there's a whole bunch of people talking about this weird black storm thing moving, and it has got 85-foot waves too, and it's hitting over by Africa. And I saw some footage of like a windstorm or something, like storm hitting over there. I don't know. You don't know like if footage is being manipulated. You don't know any of this. But this tracker thing that watches, I don't know, it watches like wind and water and all these different things. I don't know what it's called, but I think I'm pretty sure I shared already some TikTok showing it. But so this big black blob came up from Antarctica, like if it came out from under it. Somebody's saying it's a cube, and that I would say this is gonna be something about disclosure. It's got to be like, is this gonna be some kind of craft? Is this like everybody kept thinking it was gonna be ships in the sky? But is it really gonna be ships coming up from the water? I don't know. It's traveling. Whatever this thing is, it's traveling, and it's huge, and it stands out. It's like its own system traveling around, and it looks like it's huge, like the size of Greenland or something. Like, I don't know. It would have to be right up next to something to see the size of it, but it looks huge. And then, but I think Greenland's huge. Maybe it's Iceland. I don't know. Or not. Fuck, I don't know. Anyways, you'd have to look at the thing. But it's this huge system that's moving by itself. It says it's got waves on some parts of it. Like it looks like it's black, but when you go closer, you can see it's different shades. And so in the different shades, there's 35-foot waves, 65-foot waves, and 85-foot waves. And that hits, it's hitting into Africa now. And then over the weekend, and then I think it's Saturday and Sunday, I think. It's traveling through the Atlantic, and then it's going to hit the East Coast. I think sometime like Monday. It could be Sunday or it could be Tuesday, but it's something like that. And when it hits the coast, then there was somebody else who was looking at another thing, because this is like a whole bunch of people are looking at this now. And so somebody else was looking at something else, and it was showing something about the water flooding. It was showing something about flooding. And when she looked it up, like, because you go up through the days, like you can follow a cycle, no, not a cycle. You can follow like a storm. You can watch it where it goes and stuff on these things that these people are looking at. And so it had all these places that are flooding are way further back than the coast. So it looks like there's going to be floods going the whole East Coast, from all the way from New York. I don't know, it could start in Canada too, but all the way down into Florida. It'll probably go on the coast or up in the Gulf. And they already have flooded Sidell in Louisiana, which, it's just, I mean, Louisiana isn't even on the new map. Louisiana is, it's going to a watery grave, just like California, just like Arizona, parts of Washington, Oregon, like a whole bunch of places are going to be underwater. And so this is like water coming in, but the weird thing is like this weird storm. It's not like coming from the tropics. It literally is coming from the Antarctic, and it's literally this weird, looks like an object moving around that is creating these giant waves. So I was like, fuck, is it like some sea monster or something? I'm sure it has to do with this whole thing. I mean, and it very well could be something really big, supernatural event is what wakes everybody up. Like, I have no idea. It's like, surprise. Like, I don't know any more than anybody else. A lot of people are getting all these dreams and stuff. I saw a woman and her kid, and then they both had this like same kind of dream and saw the same thing. And so she was wanting to talk about it. And it was flooding and high-rise buildings. And so, I mean, that could be, you know, a bunch of different cities. I think Houston has been flooding, but Houston is also not good. That's a part that's going to be shaved away. All the like coastal towns are going to be, especially the West Coast is going to be hit the hardest with the changing the coastline, but it's going to have to do with the earthquakes and stuff. But the water is going to rise, and it still is. I have never, stop please, I have never gotten it off my mind when I very first started hearing about these dreams that these people were having in New York. And I was hearing about like in 2016, and there was a whole bunch of people having these premonition dreams of some kind of a water event in New York, and it just goes fast, and all these people were drowning. It was really intense, and there's a whole bunch of people, like, you can look it up. It's a whole thing, because that's what somebody had said to me all the way back then. They were like, oh, you can look it up about the premonition dreams for the New York flooding, and there's so many. See, I'm telling you, like, spirit talks all the time. And but you know, we just don't listen. And the more you listen, the more you tune in, the more things just go smoothly. Oh, she's digging over there. She's got an old egg right now, because those are good for fire, starting a fire. And that is the place where she loves to go dig in my basket of fire start and stuff. So man, I am uncomfortable today. I feel so weird. Like I haven't said that a zillion times. But I definitely feel really weird, like, and uncomfortable. Oh, but I have finished my doctor's visit today, and he told me that it should go super fast. He said that he's gonna just go in there, do some lidocaine, and make 2 little tiny incisions. He said it's gonna be a really small incision because the implants are so small when you take the water out. He said he's gonna make the incision. He's gonna look in there and make sure everything after he takes the implant out, and with some little camera or something. But he's going to, he said he's gonna pop the implant and then just pull it out through the thing and then stick the drain tube up. And he told me how to take the drain tube out and stuff. And so he's gonna stick that up in there and then be done. He said I should be able to be on the road by like 2 or 2:30. He was even gonna give me like some kind of, he's like, well, I could give you a benzo or something if you had somebody who was driving you. I was like, no, I'm just driving myself. And he's like, well, you gonna stay and hang out in Seattle for the afternoon? It's like, no, I got these drain tubes. I'm like, I don't know what I would do. Go sit somewhere, wait for a fucking, some big ship thing to come, and I have no telling what the hell. And I seriously feel like anything can happen. Like, I feel like things are so intense right now. And so anyways, I told him, no, I'm gonna drive straight home and get home to my dog and stuff. And so he's like, oh, okay. Well, darn it, you know, I give you something. I said, well, I'll just go into my mind, and I'll just go into that place where you detach, like, put on the music, and then I'll just go into my mind and detach from what's going on in the room. And he's like, what? And I was like, so I said it again. He's like, oh, okay. And then I was thinking, oh, that sounds weird to somebody. But, you know, I don't think it would sound weird to any woman who's ever done Lamaze class. And I was thinking, and I think that is kind of like a natural gift that some people have had, like when some abuse has happened to them, that they're able to leave that place in their mind and go someplace else. I don't know that it's super healthy or whatever, but it's definitely a skill. And when used right, that it has a productive thing about it. But that's what I'll use it, because I said what getting tattoos and stuff is like what you have to do. You have to just, like, you move your mind, like the pain is over here, so you take your mind and you refocus it over there. and you stay focused over there so that you don't think about the other. And so it's just this, it's like a mind trick or mind game or something. But anyways, I just thought that was funny. But I guess, doctors, they all do rely on like, well, just do some drugs and then you'll be fine. And just knock you out. So I'm sure that there's a lot of things that I am doing. I feel like I'm opening it up for Seattle to be able to start doing this, like for other girls to be able to go to this guy. Like, I think that he's going to be like, oh man, I can get this done. Cause he was like, it should be really quick. And, should be able to get them done really quick and move. I think you get so many more explants done than instead of making it into these big ordeals. And then plus opening his mind to like using your brain to like, I don't know that I could just have surgery and not, have any lidocaine or anything. Like, I don't think I could but I was even thinking that the cuts aren't going to be that big, and I'm not a very like, I don't have thick tissue on my, like, I'm kind of bony, and so and I even told him, I was like, well, I'm kind of skinny, so there's no chances, right, that the light, when you're doing these shots, because last night when I was laying in bed or laying there still trying to sleep, I was like, oh my gosh, I was feeling my ribs and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, what if he was like doing all these shots with the lidocaine and just slips right through into my heart? What happens? And then it's like, but you don't really have a heart. A heart isn't real. You don't have flesh and blood. Like, you have to go through all this stuff all the time, but still you start feeling like, oh my gosh. So I asked him today, I said, well, there's not much chance that you could like be doing all those shots and all this lidocaine is gonna get in my heart or my lungs, right? And he goes, oh no, it's got a good barrier. Like, okay, at least now too he knows, like, stay the distance, like, watch out for my heart and my lungs, even though they're not real still. And that is the thing too, is you got to remember, whatever they do, that you can just keep going. Like, you are a hologram. So the more you can remember that, the more you can keep going. And everything that happens is a hologram. Like, none of this is real. It's just, it's weird. It's weird when you know that, but then you go do these steps like, okay, so I'm going to go drive there, go and get surgery. But I have tried. I think it's the vibration, because I've tried to see it, to put myself, like, I've tried all the tricks, and yeah, you just have to go through what you go through. And it's like you pay to play. Like, you come in here for the game, for the ride. So we just got to be like, okay, well, this is the ride. But now I have it's just like 10 days. Well, today's the 13th, so tomorrow will be the 14th, and today's like basically over. Like, well, it's 2 o'clock, but it's still, I'm not counting today. And I'm not going to count the 23rd, because the 23rd I'm getting it done. And so I'll be up going. So that doesn't count as a whole day. And so, the whole day will be about having it done. So I don't know. I don't want to count that day. So really, it's going to be, I was looking at it, it's going to be like 5 days until I make the last payment, and then 5 days till I go. But really, it's going down faster because I could shave off those days, be like 4 and 4. But anyways, like tomorrow it'll be 4 days until I make my last payment. And then after that, and then there are a couple of days beforehand, I got a lot of stuff to do. Like, I gotta get totally set up, because there is no, like, my daughter can't come or anything. Her work thing was totally, she had the time off when my other one was scheduled, but I don't know. I just feel a lot more like I just need to hurry up and do this. And the more I see, the more it's like, fuck. Everything is right on the edge. Oh my God, drama. Let me do this. Okay. You should see her face. God, she's cute. So the but I feel like everything is like right on the edge, like shit is about to go. And so fuck, especially at this storm, if this really is like fucking 65, 85 foot waves coming and hitting all along the whole fucking shore, like that would I would think that would really fuck up Manhattan. Like, fuck, I don't know. I think but that's the kind of shit that's gonna happen, is these crazy storms. Like, this is a time of change. And, you know, we just got to keep telling ourselves whatever happens is meant to happen. We have a whole bunch of people, like I had said before. There's going to be huge groups of people. They're going to all leave at once. And just keep on remembering, like, they're going home. They're just going home. They didn't really die. They didn't really cease to exist. They didn't go to hell. They're not up to being judged by God. They are, you know, simply left the game and went home to have a break. And so anyways, but it's going to really cleanse the plant. There's going to be a huge cleansing. And then even after, like I keep saying, it's going to be after the event happens, whatever's going to happen, to shock everybody awake. Because if it is like a fucking sea creature that came out of Antarctica, because there is ice melting and there is parts of the thing falling off, and that is a part of this, like they want to say climate change, it's a part of the change. It's just a part of the cycle, the end of what was and the beginning of something new. And but there are ships and stuff like Antarctica. Like, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff about our truth in Antarctica. And I think that there's going to be something about the ice wall melting. It's going to be the same thing as the firmament opening, because it's kind of like our opening the lab cage. It's like opening the jail cell for us. But we have to raise our vibration to get there. We can't just have it opened and then raise our vibration. No, our vibration, that's why we're being pushed all the time through all this stuff. All these things keep happening, is to push us and push us and push us to grow and to heal and to look at things and to expand and to, you know, look at things in a bigger perspective. And, you know, but it's hard because a lot of people are kind of so programmed or something. I had even, I think it was Alice, you know, is it? I'm getting confused on it. Sent me something about, there was a bunch of documents or something, but where did I see the thing about, I was just totally distracted and started licking my leg. There's a bunch of things going through my head. Because Lucy, my other dog, that's what she used to always do. She used to go and sit down by my feet. She was such a big sweetheart. And she would go lay down by my feet, and then she would just sit and lick my feet like, oh, mother, I must clean your feet. She would always do that. It was so cute. And she just was trying to be so caring all the time. But Stella, she doesn't normally do that. But she will come up and try and give me a big old lick right across my face. Get right, her tongue go right across my mouth. But this is a big old fucking tongue. Okay, let me think, because it was something about the people waking up. And the one thing about it is, like, there's still all these people. No, not everybody's meant to wake up. And you got to remember that people are here to play roles. So, oh yeah, about the people not being able to wake up. There's a whole thing, something about that there's earth people, earth souls, and then there's star seeds. That's what it was. It was something, I was reading something about star seeds or something. And it was saying, so star seeds are all just the souls from outside of Earth. All the other places. That's all the souls that came here. And the reason why they all came here was because there was such a stagnation in the souls on Earth. And so many of them couldn't see that they could get off of Earth. They just, there's some kind of thing about feeling stuck or something. There's a lot of things about it becoming like a prison or something, but I don't know. And so all these souls that were stuck here is just being Earthlings. And so all these other beings coming from other places to try and change the energy here. And so there's, you know, I mean, some of this stuff makes sense to me, but I just didn't know. I mean, I had never heard that before, that there was just souls that just only had been on here. You would think everybody had done everything. So I have no idea. You'd have to go in and, you know, everybody would have to go and somehow be able to look into themselves, like through meditation, hypnosis or something, and see for themselves if they've, where they've been and who they've been and stuff. Maybe there will be some kind of a thing we can look at, like a looking glass or something, that will show us, like we could go through and watch ourselves in other lives and see our lessons and stuff. I don't know. I mean, it could be a part of like our future, with technology and stuff. And maybe it's a part of like the quantum system too, because the quantum system is supposed to open us up to like the universe. It's not just like, you know, their closed system of the internet. Oh, and on the internet thing too, because I got in that argument, whatever, with their with their bill. And so I fucking decided to call Ziply and the damn fiber optics thing, so it would be in the ground. But I haven't seen them going and putting a bunch of stuff. So maybe they put a line, and maybe my router or something just would pick up on it. And all this shit is just all stuff to make us fucking sick. It's so fucking annoying. But anyways, it's $100 less for Ziply than it fucking is for Comcast. So I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna, and everything is temporary right now. Like my car is still fucking glitching. Today I drove it up to the mechanic guy, and he said that he thought it probably needs a new, there's a lot of electrical modems and stuff in Volvos. And so he said it probably needs a new one. And I can bring it up and he'll run through everything and try and figure out what it is. But it has to come from the dealer. So I don't even know if that means I have to go and take it to the dealer, or he just has to order it from the dealer. But and if you have to take it to the dealer, you know that's going to be fucking expensive. What fucking just gets me, like, too. Like, so a part for my car now has got a leak. It's all, like, to me it smells just mildewy inside. And then it has where the carport crashed down on top of it, so it's got a big dent. It's got some leak. Oh yeah, I already said the leak. But it's got these weird glitches. Like, I don't know if the back door has something to do with this modem, and now the hazard lights or whatever. No telling. He said he didn't think it would make my car stop driving or anything, but he said it'll probably do a lot of weird stuff like that. Like, you know, maybe the windows will start going up and down. It's like totally, it seems haunted or something. But the okay, wait a second, because I have a bunch of stuff going in my head. So anyways, that I'll have to just wait and see. So the hazard lights are going to keep going off and going off. I had the neighbors texting me in the middle of the night. Well, it was wasn't in the middle of the night. It was still, but it was I was after I was already in bed asleep. And so they were texting me, did you know your hazard lights are going off? And I didn't ever say anything. Then I saw it going all night once I got up. And then I had told him, you know, there's something wrong with it. It keeps doing it. And the mechanic guy said, just go out and start your car every day and make sure the battery doesn't go dead, because it will drain off the battery with the hazard lights going. So we'll just do that. And all I got to do is get to Seattle, get back, and everything's fine. And then, because then I have to sit here anyways. I'm not supposed to go drive around for like 3 weeks. So, just be sitting here. So, and then I'll have to save up the money to go take it in to do that. Oh yeah, but the insurance thing. So the insurance, they had sent me a thing. This is so fucking ridiculous. This car is almost 15 years old and it's got all this stuff. Like, this car has no fucking value. Absolutely no fucking value. And the insurance wants to try have me pay $200 a fucking month for what? And then insurance is such a fucking scam. I just can't even get over it. And right now they're driving the prices up of all this stuff that they have it where we are forced to pay, because that's how they're putting money back into their, you know, their bullshit. And so they're just draining all of us. And I tried to tell my mom, like, we have to stop. We have to stand up to them. Like, and I keep seeing all these class action suits that are being won because this is illegal what they're doing. They're making it to be where, you know, we don't have choices, and they are, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a whole thing, and it's against our rights. So, and these corporations are having to pay out huge amounts of money, and they keep having these go, and see, we're not even hearing about them. But there's going to be more and more and more, because this is all of them, you know, going down. But so I was trying to tell my mom, because so they tried to drive my insurance to $200 a month after they just made it go up to $165. Now they want it to be $200 for every month for this fucking car. And so then I asked my mom if she could see about putting it on her bundle thing, you know, because she has her car, house, and stuff. And that's always cheaper. Used to be, it would be super cheap. And so just for her house and for her car, she has to pay $215. Then, and this is an older person too. She's like almost, she's there 80 or something. But yeah, she's about to turn 80. Or she just did. Something like that. And so, yeah, $215 a month for fucking insurance. And then, and it's so absurd. And so she called her insurance guy. It took him 4 fucking days to figure it out. And then it come back with, okay, 165. And she was like, no way, that can't be right. They're telling you it's $165 a month on top of my $215. And so she messaged him and stuff, and he came back and said, oh, yeah, that's right. So they would want her for 2 cars and a house. And they said, I have to be living at the house. And she said, oh, she's moving here in May. So she told him that I was moving there, because how the fuck do they know? And this is just more their absurdity. And so then, but for a person to have 2 cars and a house on their insurance, that would be like $400, almost $400, isn't it? It's 215 plus 165. I was like, oh my God, that is so absurd. And when I used to have, I think I had like 3 cars, the house, back like when I was in there. So this was like a while back, but it was like $125 for all that. Just to have just the car was like 50. I mean, and it was a newer car. Like, this is absurd. And then, so I was telling her, you know, well, we got to stand up. I'm not going to fucking pay this shit. This is bullshit. And she's like, yeah, but the insurance, they'll make you. And then the bank will make you, because there's a loan on the car. And then I said, yeah, but this is this shit that they do. We have to stand up to them. Nothing's going to stop as long as we all just bend over and take it. It's like we have to say, hey, no, fucking bullshit. We have to call them on their fucking bullshit. And now there's a whole bunch of people who are sick who went out and looked at the eclipse. And there was a bunch of people who were thinking that was the eclipse. They're like, oh, the energy from the eclipse, it was so intense, and it made me so dizzy. It made me so, like, a whole bunch of people got super tired, had to go sleep. There's issues like with kidneys. There's issues with breathing, like all sorts of issues that people are having now after being out there. And so, you know, but it could totally be, it depends on the chemicals inside of you. It depends on which ones you breathed in. Like, it depends. And you know what I was also thinking, and I don't mean this in a mean way or anything, but I was thinking, okay, so there's a lot, like a lot of people who think they're awake. Like I've talked about this before, but I don't see them as being awake. And then, so you have these people, this group of people who think they're so awake and they call themselves the purebloods, right? And they think that they are smarter than everybody and, you know, they would never be tricked. But there's also another thing because about the eclipse thing, there was a bunch of people who were like, didn't want to miss it because this spectacular event and this energy, and it was all like on this spiritual, like a spiritual side or something. And then I was thinking, I wonder how many of like people who would no way take, you know, the purebloods or something that went out there to go see that. And it was like, so it would wake them up to the sickness because they thought like they had outsmarted these people. So then it's going to come in this other way. So then that they can see like, oh, you're not outsmarting anybody, motherfucker. They're poisoning you every fucking day. You're eating, drinking, or breathing. They're poisoning you. And have been our whole fucking life. And so, but there's people who like are locked into this, like they're better, they're smarter, they outsmarted them and stuff like that. And stupid people who just won't wake up, they're never going to wake up. And you try and tell people like, well, I mean, there's so many people believe people are NPCs. Like, what do you think is powering them? Like, they would be ghosts. And even a ghost is energy. Like it's like a shadow of itself, kind of like a part of itself that is holding on. But there has to be some kind of energy source. Like I think that's so strange. But it's the lower chakras is when people are on autopilot and they don't stop and think, they're just reactive through life. That's what it is. It's not like people who are just walking around don't talk or anything. They're just on autopilot. They just are reactive. It's just like they're whatever, you know, it's an automatic response. Oh yeah, and there is there was something coming in my head when I was talking about that. Okay, so the automatic response, the people, man, I swear, it feels like it's like a fucking tornado in there. Like I'm trying to catch stuff. Okay. Oh, let's see. I'll just go back on the Antarctica thing because it looks like, you know, I kept thinking like maybe it was some sort of a sea creature but it looks more like it would be some kind of a ship. But then that one person saying it's something about a cube, which I don't even know all that stuff about those big black cube things. And there's a whole thing about that. And also it seems like this Ramadan has some significance in how things too, like where everybody keeps focusing on some other kind of religions and stuff. I think Ramadan has something like something is moving in the energy or something. Um okay, wait a second, let me think. Man, it keeps feeling like I get this flood of a whole bunch of stuff at once, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't even what? And then I'm trying to see, and then it's harder to see or something. It's really weird. I don't know if it's me or it's the energy or what it is. But let me see. Yeah, but I feel like I don't feel focused either. I feel like I'm like all over the place. Like it feels like a really weird energy. And oh yeah, because one thing I was telling my mom too is that the way they're driving the prices up and stuff, it just, to me, it's showing like we're right on the edge of the collapse, which really is another reason why I want to hurry up and get this done and not sit here and wait another fucking month, wait till May. I think if everything is still going in May, it'd be like, fuck, a miracle. Like everything seems like it's falling apart and falling apart fast. And in this fucking thing coming. And like, fuck, I don't even know. Go and who knows? Like I would think if it's 85-foot waves on the coast, that's like a tsunami. Like, and that's not just one wave. Like, I don't know how tall a tsunami is. I thought the tsunami was like 100 feet. So I was like, fuck, that sounds like a tsunami. Like, it's just a whole bunch of them just keeps going and going. So it's gonna be like this, it's like a storm of change. Like, if this really does go, like, there's people watching it nonstop now. And if it keeps going, and then plus seeing that there is some storm hitting into Africa, so it could be, whatever happens in Africa will kind of show how hard it's going to hit here, but it could also pick up steam going across to get to where it's going. I don't know, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. And I think this is going to have to do with some devastation. It's going to be more waking up. There is more people, who are getting sick from going outside, who are now a lot more open to thinking about, like, oh my gosh, we are being poisoned. What should I do? And I keep telling people, you got to detox. I mean, detoxing is all the chemicals that you have in your house. Like, you got to be looking at them. Like, do I need to use this? Do I need to use this? Because you got to remember, their chemicals all go together with their other chemicals. Like, they depend on us to have these other chemicals in the house. So any chemicals that you don't add into the mixture, you're going to be doing better. And so all the chemicals detox, because they wear on your body too. And you got to think, all these chemicals that they put into the food and stuff, remember, it clogs up your lymph, it clogs up your kidneys, it clogs up your liver, every infiltration, every filtration system in your body, it clogs it up because it's too busy trying to do that. And then they put out the parasite larvae, and you get all these parasites in you, and then the parasites are competing. So your immune system gets so depleted by these chemicals, and people don't realize it. So it's important, while they're attacking, is to make sure you detox. And so it's easy to start just like, okay, well, cleaning stuff. Don't use white vinegar, or just get some kind of soap or something. You don't have to use all of their sprays and chemicals, and you want to get away from all this stuff with all these fragrances. Like, if you have plugins and stuff around, they're seeping out hormone blockers and all sorts of shit. So those are all full of chemicals, all full of shit. You want to get rid of those things. All air fresheners, candles, all that kind of stuff is full of that shit. And one thing too, there's a lot of different incenses, and you can get those that are made more natural, and all different fragrances, and you can use those for adding in smells and stuff to your house instead of all the chemicals. But and then, shampoos, toothpaste, everything is like a detergent to, like that guy said, scrub off all of our protection. And so, you need to look around everything that you're going to take in, and especially with your food. You got to cook more clean. And I know so many people don't know how to cook, and they need boxed food, and they need to be able to read it and do exactly what it says. But there's old-fashioned cookbooks. You can get regular stuff, and it's the same thing. There's just like some more steps, but I swear to God, it's the same thing. So it's not that much harder. You have more things, like you might have to cut up some vegetables and then cook them for a little while before you add in the rice or something. And, and then instead of their flavor packets, you may have to get more creative with spices you like. And so there's just other ways of being able to cook in the recipe books and stuff. And then even if you're really having problems, you can even do one of those food kit things. They're not that great right now, I don't think, as they used to be. Like, I did HelloFresh for a while when I was first single, I think. And it was pretty good. It was fun because I would get these recipes and I would cook them. And that was weird, huh? That and so that was fun. But then I had gotten it since I've been here, and oh my gosh, But how? I don't think that they can, because everything is so much more expensive. It's not like that they can do the same stuff and for the same kind of prices. Like, it'd be impossible. But it is cheaper when you just go buy like a bag of potatoes, a bag of carrots, a bag of onions, and then you cut them up and you figure out your recipes and stuff. And there is lots of recipe books. And one thing too, I used to tell my kids is crock pot dinners. Those are so easy. You don't even have to do shit. Like, if you're really used to easy dinners and, just opening up a box and adding in the liquid or whatever, then that crock pot is also such a good thing, because you just dump everything in there in the morning and then you just turn it on and then you just go about your day and it will cook it. And then there is some stuff where people are saying like there's some toxic stuff in the whole crock pot system. I mean, there's some things that, we just kind of, there's nothing we can do about it. Like, I mean, you're doing a lot of good, positive things by trying to make the food. So, I mean, there's going to be some things like you're cutting out a lot of chemicals, though. And so, gosh, I got to wheeze. So that's important, is doing that. And it has been so foggy here too. I've been trying to stay in, but still we have to go out for a walk. And just like, those people who were all out there looking at the clips, that a lot of people saw all the spraying and stuff in the morning. And then when people were out, I mean, it's not like you sit there and see what you're breathing in. You're breathing in this stuff. And then it's later you go in and it's like, ugh. And another thing that I had heard a lot of people saying, that it made them not just fall asleep. What have I been saying for so long? I swear to God, they spray us with fucking drugs. They knock us fucking out sometimes. And, but, okay, let me think what I was saying. So, it has been super foggy here every morning. And it'll be, well, I don't know, in the evening time it was foggy. Right now it's like really clear looking and sunny. So I don't know. It has been raining. Nothing matches on their weather thing. What it says it's going to do and what they do, nothing matches. So anyways, it's supposed to be clear now for a few days. So maybe it won't be foggy, but I don't know. When I very first started noticing that something was up with the fog, is where I kept noticing, like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, it is summertime and you get up in the morning and it's all fog. Like, what the fuck? And so, I talked about that all a long while ago. It's like a lot of this stuff, it was like I was putting out these warnings and stuff. And and another thing too, I saw this lady and she was talking about stuff, saying stuff like that I have said, but now there's more people saying it. And it's weird, because you say it and then nobody, well, a few people hear you say it, but then other people start saying stuff that you've been saying for a long time, but nobody knows because nobody was listening to you. And so, it makes you feel like, oh, God, ugh. But then I was like, okay, but then it's like, that shows that the people are opening up more to the information. So that's a good sign. And, to feel like, I had to be heard first or something, that's my own issue. So I have to be like, okay, just let it go. Let it go. But it is those kind of things. It's like, oh my God, that's aggravating. But okay, let me think, because there was a bunch of different things. Okay, the storm thing. So I've gone over the storm thing. Every time too in the map, it looks like this giant ass bug going. It's really creepy looking too. So we got the storm. We got the sickness. We got what did that guy, the earthquake guy, said like around the 12th? And so that was already passed. And so I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but I still think that there's going to be these earthquakes just because he's off on it the day. I don't get so hung up on like, oh, for sure, this exact day. It's like, oh, there's all I know is there's gonna keep being shit that's gonna happen. There's gonna keep being shit that's gonna happen. It's gonna keep being horrible shit that's gonna happen. And then everything is gonna all of a sudden, like the lights come on, everybody sees, and then it's going to like this abrupt change. But when it changes, it's like as soon as everybody changes directions, it's like all of a sudden then they realize. And they're like, what the fuck? It's going to make people be like, oh my gosh. It's going to bring, I get flashes all the time of different things. It's going to bring up so much different kinds of emotions and stuff in people for the people who aren't seeing right now when they do. Because of, it has to do with ego and stuff. Because it's like your ego is it's like their ego is keeping them from seeing certain things because the ego is what has to be worked out. And so their ego is going to be hit hard when they all of a sudden realize that what they didn't see and other people saw and they didn't see. And so that is like, and I don't know, it will be kind of like that thing, you know, like we've all been through that. Like something happens and all of a sudden it takes you a second and you're like, oh, it'll be like that. So to be kind of like probably like staggered, but it won't be like a long time. It'll be like quick because I think it will be meant to be quick too. I think once this occurrence happens, then it will start hitting with truth, 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 truth. Because it's like everybody's mind is all of a sudden opened and it will be very overwhelming to a lot of people. There's gonna be a lot of people like who are not mentally healthy for what is gonna happen. And that's what's gonna be hard, is because there's so many people who are not mentally healthy. And in order to process a lot of this stuff, you gotta be mentally healthy. You gotta be able to go through it. And like I had done this TikTok the other day and I said, if other people were having all these weird flashes all the time. So I get these weird ass flashes. I've been talking about this for, I swear, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know when I started talking about it. A year keeps coming in my head, but I don't know. I've definitely, I would say past 6 months. And I was saying, you know, I get these weird flashes like of something in elementary school or being a kid or being someplace and some weird thing that I'd never thought about or anything all of a sudden flashes into my head, and weird food that I ate like when I was a kid. Like all of a sudden you start craving like a fried bologna sandwich. It's like I would never eat that now, but I sure did like it back in the day. Especially my dad would go in and start frying them. I don't know why, if somebody else makes it, like it always tastes better. But he would fry up this bologna and we would think, oh my gosh, what a treat. And then put a bunch of mustard on it. It was good. And then another thing too that comes into my mind a lot is the school rolls. And the school rolls always has such a unique flavor. And I would always think like, what is that? Like, how did they do those rolls? And you'd always get that little pat. Well, back when I went to school, you get this big roll, and then you get this little pat of butter, and put all this fresh butter. The rolls were fresh. Like we had better school food than what they do now, but I don't know if it was like a lot better quality or something. I mean, it was better quality, but I don't know that it was like healthy for us. Like it was probably still not like really healthy, but it was still better than I think what they have now. But so we get these big rolls and then we get these things of butter and they were always so good. And when I cook the bread on the cast iron skillet, it gets that flavor. And I was like, oh, that's what it was. It was the iron. And I would sometimes I would think, you know, like when you're a little kid and you cut your finger and you stick it in your mouth and you get that flavor all of a sudden, that's iron. I feel like that's iron. And so it would always be when I would get those rolls, I would always be thinking they tasted like blood. Like, and now that I've been cooking on the cast iron, I was like, oh, that is it's like they were cooking them on, like they were more healthy, like they had iron in them or something, like they would cook them on a big iron thing or something, because I think that was the flavor. But I don't know, it's just a weird thing like this, to keep having this come into my head, having this come into my head. It's like, but I had said a video about it saying, is anybody else having these weird flashbacks nonstop about weird stuff like when you're a kid, or it's strange. I think it's part of the ascension, but it's so weird. And a bunch of people were like, yes, 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 yes. And weird ones with food and stuff like that. But there was something I was going to say about that. But the weird stuff happening in Ascension. Oh, yeah, because somebody had said that they had some kind of, they were getting some kind of flashing of something of old things that were things that, I don't know if they were things they didn't want to think about or deal with or whatever. And then they kept getting all these flashes and stuff, and they said it's very annoying. And I was just like, you got to make sure you process it. That's the thing, is that when any of this stuff is happening, you got to process through it, especially if it's bringing up any kind of emotion or any kind of trigger. Like that doesn't, on most of this stuff, I don't have any kind of like, it just is like reprocessing it. And I was like, man, it's kind of like going through a life review or something while you're alive. But like going back through this stuff and different people at different times that came into your life that you hadn't thought about forever. And so, but anyways, that I think is part of the process. It's part of like this energy that's here for us. And so when you are getting these flashes, because there's a lot of people that, so when you do get those, just any kind of thing that it brings up, that is what you need to work on. If it brings something up, then focus on what it brings up, and don't get upset about it. Just go in and think more about it, go in deeper, try and understand, like, why would you feel that way? Why would it make you feel this way or that way? And find whatever it is so you can just release it, because there's some sort of thing, or it wouldn't exist if there wasn't something. And so, and there's a reason why things are coming up right now. It's not just, for no reason. It's like an opportunity to learn and to grow. Everything's an opportunity to learn and grow, I think. And but I don't know with all this stuff about if there really is people who were stuck here and they were not progressing. Like it's weird. Like I don't know, because I've just heard this stuff before. Like even when they die, that they get pressure to put back on them to go back in and reincarnate. Like they just keep them in this circle. But see, that's the thing, is once you become a soul with awareness, they couldn't do that. And how are they blocking it from people's family members and stuff, meeting up with them and saying, hey, let's go? So I don't know. There's just things that happen typically when people die. And then how would there be all these NDEs with all these experiences happening if it really is this prison planet where as soon as you die, they trap you, they force you back in and make you go just stay in their thing? Because all these NDEs and stuff, people do have their families come. They go and it's like a homecoming. It's like a big party every time when somebody, well, I won't say every time, because some people have other experiences. Like there's people who think they go to hell. That is, I believe, your own punishment, or you have such an attraction to the dark energy that it's there to greet you, just like all of the rest of everybody, where your family members, your ancestors, they come to greet you. Well, if you're just all on the dark energy all the time, I think it's just coming to greet you. Maybe they do like pull you down into where they are or something, but it's not, but you got to pull yourself out of it. Like that's the thing, is like all of this stuff is like states of consciousness that you have to pull yourself out of. You have to pull yourself into this knowing your own power. I was thinking how powerless people feel, to be so dependent on religion and stuff, and live in so much fear. And this whole thing of, they've got to get before the Almighty and, plead their case or something so they don't burn in hell forever. And I don't know, it was so much manipulation, and it brings out a dark side in people. It has so much dark energy attached to it. So, but I see it so much as the people who depend on it so much are, they're almost scared of their own existence. So they have to have something that's above them, that's over them, because they can't, it can be just them. It has to be something bigger than them. And there is something bigger than us all, but it's all of us. It's just like when you stand back and look at the crowd, it's like, oh yeah, okay, there's all of us. And so yeah, you are one, but the crowd is many. But to think that there has to be this God Almighty that is over us all, who's making our decisions for us, who's watching every move, who's going to punish you or whatever. That is kind of this dependency of, I don't know, it seems like this consciousness of being scared to be in charge of itself, kind of like a codependency, like needing somebody to blame. And so I think it's just kind of like a stepping stone to sovereignty, to be able to be like, okay, I don't I don't know how to really say it. Like, I don't need to please a God in order to have worth. I don't need to take a knee to a God to have worth. Like, it's like you just got to see your value and your importance. And it's like people don't see like that they're warriors, that they're gods. What people think that a god can do, you can do. You are like the superheroes in the movies that they created. They created them about the souls. And then they laugh at us because we sit there and watch them and we don't even realize that, hey, but the thing is like when I've never been into the superhero things, but when I've ever seen them, I've always been like, that's the same thing. We could do all that stuff. I've always seen through that. I always thought it was a part of them, like, thumbing their nose at us. Well, I never could understand, like, at that, to that level. I just knew that stuff was real. Like, Superman comes from a different planet and he has all these powers and he can fly and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, that's real. And so, and then that we all have these abilities. But see, you got to know your own power. I mean, you can be Superman or you can be, I don't know, Clark Kent. You can be one or the other. So, but the whole thing is, though, Clark Kent knows he's Superman. So it's more like you could be, I don't know, you could be Lois Lane or you could be Superman. Like, you can be all you can be, or you can sit back and think that you aren't enough. Like, there's there's people over you or something. Man, I can't quit to clear my throat now either. Oh my God. So, anyways, the reincarnation recycle thing, where it seems like the people seem kind of lost, like they have just forgotten who they are. Like I've said before, to me, it's like this Wi-Fi disconnect. It's like all the interference. And it's almost like there's all this interference available here in this realm where we are. And there's so much interference that's created with frequency and stuff. But there's so much interference that is created. And it is like the more you focus on it, the louder that is. And so, if you're focused on, celebrity culture, like there's a lot of people who are, like I don't know. I think it's like mixed bag over the crashing of the Kardashians and their connection to all the seediness and stuff. But, people aren't going and buying their products or something, and it's causing them to their money thing. But it's all going to go together because now Chris is on the run or something because there's a whole bunch of stuff about her and Diddy, and there's videos and shit. So she's on the run. So this is a crash of all their shit. But those, like all their stuff was like so corrupt, so artificial, but it's like stimulating to some people. Like, I don't know if it's like a following thing, like a role model thing, like, oh my God, they're so cool, they've got it all, I want to be like them. And then people just start trying to mimic them or something. But those people who were doing it were all like, corporate paid mannequins. Like they're there to get you to buy other stuff and how to spend your money and how to be fake and artificial and not be real. Like there's a whole fucking thing about it. And so that is like the volume is turned up in this realm of that kind of like fake stuff. And I don't know, cars or I mean, even where like beautiful women. So I thought this was good too. I saw this guy doing this video and he was saying like about women who are single. And he was like, there's a lot of women out there who are single by choice because, oh wait, that's two different videos. Because the single by choice, like, knowing your value, you don't need to just go shop around. And that's, that's definitely where you get to when you do your healing. It's like, why would you go and, no. And then the, fuck, how do I keep losing these things? So the, knowing your value, the not dating, and then, oh yeah, because the other guy was talking about the single women who have their shit together. Like they're not out looking around. They're not out trying to find a man. They're not going to all the places trying to get guys. They are at home doing their thing. Like there's lots of women who are, fuck, all sorts of shit, man. They're out there fucking starting homesteads by themselves, starting little farms. There's all sorts of women who are out living in their cars, in their vans, living on the road, like all sorts of things. And so there's women out there, who are doing their thing and not out just trying to, find some guy to take care of them or, date a bunch of guys and stuff like that. They're just living their thing. And so this guy was saying, all these single women who are, it's kind of like the healed ones, the ones who are doing good for themselves. They're not going out to the clubs and looking for guys. It's the women who are doing really bad are going out to the clubs looking for the guys. The people who are out in that thing. And I had said this. I said this is what's going to happen with the dating thing. It's like being flooded with people who aren't healing. They're just looking for someone to take care of them. There's videos of these girls like, well, a man better spend a certain amount on a first date with me. It's like, you put it on like a cash register, like you put a price tag. Like that is, I don't know, that's weird. And that's like, but that's the energy from a shallow, superficial world. And that's the stuff that has to purge out. Like people have to hear themselves say that and be like, oh, and it may sound real good right now, but when everything flips and people are like, oh, artificial was bad, natural, like there's going to be like a big shift. But there's going to be a lot of people who are still going to be going towards artificial. There's, because it is so loud. This fake ass world is loud and it draws people's attention. That is that whole thing with the shining lights, the loud music. It's all to capture your attention, to get you excited, to want to go and experience more. And then they trap you into, it's like a fucking trap. Like, Like, just like when we go out and put a trap to get a wild cat or something, that's what they do to all of us. And then once they get us in there, then we're just part of their system of, you know, make us sick and sell us secure, make us sick, sell us secure, make us sick, sell us secure. Then they even got bigger because then they were like, oh, so we can create obesity and then we can sell them all sorts of products. We can do surgeries, all sorts of stuff. And you know what's really heartbreaking too is I keep seeing these people who are doing these big surgeries and stuff. Like a girl is getting I might have already said this, she's getting 2 tumors out of her GI tract. And so they're taking everything like from her stomach down, like taking all of her intestines and stuff, and her bowel, like her, she said she's going to be like a Barbie. Like, you know, I was just like, oh my God, that is so disturbing. And then she was scared, you know, she was like kind of crying, but she was like, but at least I won't have the tumors. It's like, oh my God, all you got to do is get some more space and you won't have the goddamn tumors. Oh, this is hard to watch. It's hard to watch. It's definitely, and it is going to be, you know, because we're watching it and we know it's true. And so there's a group of us who know that natural is better, that natural has cures, that you can actually get better. You don't have to go through all of this stuff that they do. And but the people who don't know and then having to sit and watch them, it really creates to me a lot of compassion. I don't know how other people get so like, oh, you stupid idiot. I think that is when you have like that part of you that is really anger and stuff, because then when you feel sorry for people, instead it clicks over to being mad. Like, so that's something just to notice in yourself, is like your reactions to what people are going through, because everything should be helping you to bring up compassion, empathy, you know, understanding, not judging, being a lot more open and kind and caring and stuff. That's the stuff it's supposed to be bringing up. And the people that can't bring it up, like they just, you know, go to their life review and go over it. And, you know, and if they're meant to figure it out, they'll figure it out. If they already know it, then they'll just go home. It's like, yeah, but you got to remember, those of us who are going forward and all this stuff, it's way bigger than just this. It's like, this is just another step. There's the biggest part is when we start creating. This is the ending. This is letting go. This is just keep letting go, process, letting go. And but the big part comes where we're going. That is when we start creating the new world, because that is what it has to do with more, is the cedar. This is how I see it. The cedars of the new age. It is more about that, like where people keep being like, oh, we're light workers and stuff, which is so strange because so many people say they're light workers, but what are you doing? Like there should be thousands of channels like mine, thousands of them saying the same shit as me. But I had seen another thing. I think it might have been that starseed thing too. And they said a lot of starseeds haven't even woke up yet. So, see, that is also another thing that's going to be a big energetic surge when all of a sudden all these people wake up and realize, like, oh, fuck. Like, it's going to be such a thing of, like the thing I'm getting is, like, you're outside and your dad keeps calling you, but you don't hear him. And then, you know, you're messing around, playing with your friends and stuff. And then once you do hear him, then, you know, you're in trouble. And so, but you could have been listening, but you were so caught up in what you were doing, you weren't listening. And that's kind of like what people are doing. It's kind of like they're going to be in trouble because they weren't paying attention. And so, but they have to go through that, as there's consequences. Consequences are what teaches us. And that is a big thing about, like, a part of what we're going to change as we start changing. And then we start raising kids only as healthier people, then there will be a lot more of cause and effect, like letting people have the cause and effect, letting people go through their experience and make their choice and have their consequence, because then you learn something from it. And so I think that there's going to be a lot more about that, because right now we have so much where people try and control other people. Don't let people live out their experiences. Don't do that. Do that. Don't do this. Don't, and we've got to be a lot more allowing, just like, yeah, go do it. Try it. See what happens. Yeah, it's your thing, and not always be trying to block people. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just allowing us, like, but see, we got to start that when kids are little, and allowing them to make mistakes. There was a big fight that my husband and I raised the kids with, that we got into one time. And it was there was like snowing outside. It was probably like this time of year, only it was in Spokane, so it was like, I don't know, March or something, so it was still like there was some snow or something on the ground. And my daughter, who was like, I don't know, I think she was like 10, and she put on sandals. I think there might have been a few, but she put on sandals and wanted to go to school. And that, takes off in her sandals. I'm like, well, your feet are going to get cold. You need to put on other shoes. No, I'll be fine. And so go. Okay, well, so there's your consequence. Did you go to school? Did your feet freeze? Now you learned your lesson. But see, my ex, he got mad at me. I should have been making her. I should have forced her. I was the one who messed up. She should have been forced to put on socks, forced to wear shoes. That I was a complete idiot, and a failure as a mother. But that's what I'm saying, is like how have always seen things differently. And to me it was like, okay, well, yeah, go wear your sandals, and let me know how it goes for you, because I think your feet are going to get cold. But that's where you actually learn. And so it is allowing kids to learn. That doesn't mean like, okay, well, I'm going to let them run across a busy street and they'll learn not to get ran over once they get ran over. No, we got to teach them how to protect themselves. We got to teach them that, there's certain parameters or rules or something. But when they're trying to learn themselves and figure themselves out, we got to allow them to do that. And there's a natural effect by consequences. The universe has a natural action of teaching us. And we also have to remember that these are grown as souls. They aren't like new little baby souls that don't know what the fuck they're doing. So they should be able to catch on. And having consequences and stuff is going to even keep you more on your toes or wake you up more. Like if we would have been living in these other ways, then we would have probably been, a lot more awake. But we were living in a state of dependency, having other people do everything for us. Just like I said, there's so many people that don't even know how to cook. And they depend on DoorDash and all of these deliveries, and all of that stuff. Well, for one thing, it's going to push them because the prices are being driven up, the quality of the food's going down. So, but where you find true independence is starting to learn to cook for yourself. And it's like, oh, okay. And you don't even have to be fancy. You don't even have to have like, several different fancy recipes or something. Like, fuck, you can just start out simple. When my daughter first moved out, it was just like, start with trying to figure out how to boil eggs. Start with, simple things. You don't have to be elaborate. You just got to feed yourself. And there's another thing too. I think that was that one woman who I was saying, like, who was saying stuff like what I say. And she was also saying, once you do more of your healing, and she called it something, I don't know what she called it, but once you do more, you do detach from food. You find you don't need food like you did before. That food, it becomes different. And I have definitely noticed that. Like when you are not healed, you are more starved for something. You need something. And and food, but then as you start healing and stuff, it's like, oh, I don't need that. And then plus when you start seeing how toxic it is, And then you start seeing like, oh, well, I only need a small amount of food. I don't need near as much as like 3 meals a day and 3 snacks. Like they wanted us to fucking eat as soon as we get up, then make sure we have a snack in between before lunch. Like, fuck, we can't even make it a couple hours, you know, we may starve to death. It's like, Jesus Christ. And then, you know, have your lunchtime and then go into, you got to have, you may need 2 snacks in the afternoon. And then you have to have your big ass meal before you go to bed. And then you better have a dessert for fuck's sake. So look at how, and then look what it did to our society. Our society is sick and obese. And so all you got to do is look and see, like, well, that's not a healthy lifestyle. That's no way to live. Hey, lady. Oh, I have been talking a while. When I'm sitting here skipping around, like, what am I talking about? Okay, so let me think. I think I finished about that. Everything is about just looking and thinking more about stuff. And that is what is going to, this is going to be like very impactful. I can't stress this enough. Like people are all waiting on this or waiting on that. It's whatever is going to go. Some occurrence that happens that all of a sudden wakes everybody up. It fucking for sure could be this, whatever the fuck is fucking traveling from the Antarctica. And if that comes over and starts doing way, I think there's going to start being earthquakes and shit. Like I think shit's going to start rocking and rolling. And then there's going to be more with crashing with the money, the government. And you just got to keep remembering, like, to me, I find safety in that fucking doomsday map. Because then it's like, okay, I'll head there. Because I don't have to, once shit starts going down, like if there starts being a bunch of stuff, all I got to do is get across that fucking mountain range. So once and that's what I'm going to directly do. And like I don't think I would go up to Mount Baker. Because that could, I think that's a volcano. Like, I don't think I'll head straight up to Mount Baker. I think I would head out to Mount Stevens. I wouldn't head down to a Snoqualmie Pass because that would have to go through Seattle. So if I go the back roads, cross over the top of the mountain, once I get over the mountain, then I'm in the plains. Then it's like I will be open to be able to get. And then, I've driven enough back there. I think I can find myself around walking. And so, you know, if that's how it goes down, I'll be dragging my dress up, my suitcases with my dresses. Some dresses wouldn't be able to go probably. Like I've got too many dresses, but anyways, so that would be my plan. Is like shit starts going and before, you know, I'm going straight up over that fucking mountain. Once I get to the top of it, you know, no matter if the water's coming in and the chaos is going and fucking things are falling and shit, then it's just start heading inland. And then once I get over the mountain, I feel like I'm good. I could fucking set up anywhere. I could fucking put a tent up and just stay there. Like it's because that is where it's going to go on the map thing. It looks like it just is going, the water's going to come up to the mountain range. I think it's the Cascadia mountain range, was also has a fault line. So there'll probably be like some, no telling, like it's going to be big. And it could be, because there's supposed to be this big whole split that's going to go too. So if it splits going up and through the mountain range, and some of it, like there would be, man, I don't even know, but what was I going to say? Because if the water came up to the mountains, and that's supposed to be the new border, then if they have the earthquake, and but it's, oh yeah, because then the Cascadia one, if it goes across, it must go across Oregon down through California. And then California also has the San Andreas fault line. That's the big one too that they're always watching. But they must have a cross thing. And then once one goes, it's gonna make the other one unsettled. And then it's gonna cause this big rift that's gonna happen. It's going to change the landscape over here. But then in California, see though, but if it splits down, that may be why a big chunk falls off. Maybe it's the Cascadia fault line that splits down. I don't know. But I know that's what I keep hearing, something big about the Cascadia one. It's weird because when I lived there, it was always San Andreas Fault, San Andreas Fault. But now I keep hearing about the Cascadia one, and I don't know if that's because it's the one I'm close to or what. But anyways, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. There's nothing we can do. And then also remember, like, that nothing is real. So even if stuff's happening, you just keep on going, keep on going. Fucking shit's going. You just like take on that fucking idea in your mind. You're a superhero. You can fucking jump over shit. You can run. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want. We got to get into that thing, like from that movie Free Guy, when he became the sunglass person. It's the same thing as in the Matrix. It's once you realize you're in the game can't do the same shit. They can shoot bullets at you. You can catch the bullet, throw it at them. Like, there's things, but see, when you're in the game and somebody's shooting at you, you're like, oh, a gun is shooting at me, a bullet's gonna hit me, I'm flesh and blood, I'm gonna die. And then some people, they get hit with the bullet, they go down, and then they are like, oh, it just hurt my shoulder, I'm fine, and you know, nothing hurt them. It all has to do with up in here, but it also has to do with your timing and your role and what you came here to learn. If that's your exit, then yeah, the bullet's gonna hit. But all of our exits are changing. That's the thing, is we don't have those same kind of exits. So that is where you got to start seeing for yourself. That's where you got to detach from the Matrix world and start seeing yourself as the superhero in the game. I mean, you can catch bullets, you can jump across buildings. And the more you get that into your mind of all of what you're capable of, then that is when we start being able to do it. It's like you have to start believing it. You have to believe it in order to do it. And that's the thing too, is like when I go get that surgery, because I believe I can shift my mind away from it and not, I don't need to take anything. I'll be fine. Just shift and start thinking about something different. I'll do it. It'll be done real quick and I'll fucking leave. And, but I think it's like more rare, like what he's had to deal with other people. Like, I think that a lot more people are like, oh no, give me drugs, knock me out. I don't want to feel a thing. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to see it. I don't want, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's a different energy. Like, I'm bringing a different energy. But me bringing this energy opens him up to that energy, which then that opens up his patience to that energy. So that is what I was like, oh, that is so cool. That is like the ripple effect. Like, when you go in and you make a change and you change this person's perspective, then that perspective change ripples out into other people's lives. And so it is like this sense of being like, always be the one who's willing to take the first step. Be a trailblazer. Don't sit back and have to watch somebody else go and do it first. Go do it. Be the trailblazer. Be the one who's going to do it first. Show everybody else. This is the time. And I think that there's going to be, some pretty fantastic things that when shit starts going down, there definitely will be some people who step into like superheroes. Like, something will happen, they'll grab a tree, lift it, and grab a person. Like, I bet you there's going to be some wild stuff. And then they'll be like, well, it was superhuman strength. They didn't even think. All they did was just do it. It's like, no, it's like it's like you didn't stop and think about what was holding you back. That's what gets us. You always stop and think of what holds you back. They get you trapped in flesh and blood. It's all limitation. You're just a weak ass little bitch. You're just flesh and blood. You're here to be sick by them until you realize, like, hell no. Like, I'm fucking special. And they're trying to drain your energy and use it. And they laugh at you because you forgot who you are. And so this is like a slap in their face. And there's going to be so many people too. Like these Kardashians. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to go down. A lot of people. And it's not just, like, I don't even know, like with the Kardashian, how would they even survive if they went in poverty? Like, they probably all go fucking do themselves in. Like, they couldn't, that's below them. How could they live in poverty? No way. So, you know, there'll be people who will, I don't know. I mean, the Kardashians could do themselves in. Like, anything can happen. They could have one Kardashian and then all of a sudden wakes up and she wants to do better and changes too. Like, anything can happen. Like, that's the kind of exciting part of it too. It's like, man, we're just kind of watching, like, anything could happen, anything can happen. And oh my gosh, I saw another crazy ass car wreck where it was like, I think it was a Lamborghini or something. They were obviously going too fast. Whenever they did, they wrapped it around the pole. It was like shredded. I don't, and the pole was like right up through the middle of it. I don't even know. There was all these people taking pictures. I would assume that the person must have lived. It didn't look like there was blood and stuff everywhere. So I don't know. It was wild, but there's going to be more of that. That's what I'm saying. Is that nothing, part of it, I think, is to teach us that nothing can kill you. That's not, well, before. Nothing could kill you unless it was meant to, because I know we're going through this shift where nothing can kill us anymore. We're gonna, that is a part of the shift. You don't die unless you want to die. Unless you are like, okay, well, I'm done here, so I'm gonna go. But before, they had us tricked. They had us wrangled in. So when they would do certain things, and that is, I think, part of the programming, indoctrination, and stuff that they showed in movies, and the whole thing with aging, because they did the same thing with the weight as they done it with aging. So then when they saw like, oh, they start looking old, they start like getting all droopy and sickly. And, you know, that's because they're getting old. Like, the whole thing, how they created, like, their whole fucking thing about aging. And, but it was all, like, created. So then they are like, okay, well, we'll do this, you know, and call it aging, and we'll sell them a whole bunch of shit. We'll sell them surgeries. We'll sell them medicine. We'll sell them plans. We'll sell them, you know, like, fucking, yeah. They make a whole goddamn thing about aging. Like, it's way too big of a fucking money-making thing. That right there is like, we should have seen right through it, just of how big a money-making thing they made it into. But all this stuff, once you start realizing that everything that they do is because you allow it, because of how you look at things, of how your mind is trapped. So the more that you can open your mind, the more that so much stuff stops. You can't stop everything. Like, they still send you their big ass bills. And, but that is also something that is going to be ending. And that, to me, is a good sign. The way they're driving the prices up so high right now seems like, okay, it's about to go. It's about to collapse. Like, there's no way. Like, people are barely being able to eat and stuff. And then they're just raising the prices and raising the prices on everything else. And people are still freaked out about, they don't want to be homeless. Like, most people, like the people who go and start being homeless, it's like, I don't know, a part of you is like, okay, you have to surrender to it at some point and be like, oh, okay, I'm still okay. I'll be fine. I'm not going to die because I'm homeless. You know, I'll figure it out. It's just a shift in how I'm going to take care of myself. And, but there's still so many people are like so in fear. Like, homelessness has been a huge fear for a long time for people. And so there's so many people are going into it now. It's like, okay, it's not that scary, but you still have a huge group of people who's like, fuck that. I don't want to be homeless. And so, and so many more people are putting it all together about the money and how even if you pay your house off, they can take it in taxes, they can take it in domain seizure, like they do all sorts of shady shit. They do whatever they fucking want. And there's nothing that we've been able to do until we all start waking up and being like, no, fuck them. No, you're not going to do that. No, you're not going to do that. And luckily, us standing up to them, because before, if we would have woke up, they would have just taken us out. Luckily now, we can stand up to them, and now the energy is changing because they're all going down. And the energy is already there. Like, this, I think, is just a big show. And it's also so strange, like, the OJ timing of his death and stuff. And in this bit, like, everything is just speeding up. That's all I can say. And everything is, you know, on the verge of collapse. You got to just let go of this stuff, learn and understand more about yourself, and open your mind to what this place is, and just keep taking down the bars that have imprisoned your mind. Like, there's such a prison that is created around people's minds. It's like a chain, a ball and chain. It's the enslavement. So anyways, the more that you can wake up and see your value, because that's why they're enslaving it, because you have such an energetic imprint. You have such a, you're a huge energy. So yeah, they're gonna suck the fucking life out of you. And so yeah, you gotta do the detox. You gotta get rid of the chemicals and stuff the best you can, even if you are gonna go back on them. Even if you're like, well, I won't use shampoo for a couple weeks, until the sickness passes. Whatever you can do to reduce what your body is trying to do. Because if your body's on overdrive, trying to process all these chemicals, all this sickness and all that, it's like, you're going to be depleted. You're going to feel like shit. So getting rid of as many chemicals, that's detoxing. That's getting all these toxics out of your fucking thing. Then the cleanse. You got to do some cleansing, because they're putting all these into us because it draws from your immunity. It makes you weaker. And so that you got to do a cleanse to get all of that. So those two things right there are going to make you feel so much better. But then do things like building your immunity. Get those vitamin C emergencies or whatever, like big doses of vitamin C, vitamin D. And I say always just keep adding in the minerals, cooking on the cast iron. I swear to God, it is important. Drinking out of the copper cup, and mineral salts. Any minerals that you can add in is going to get you into a better state of being. And then detoxing and the cleansing, all those things all go together. Oh yeah, and on TikTok, they are taking down my videos, or not, like I have videos that are not even going at all. There's a certain thing they don't want me to talk about: poisoning, sickness, aging, none of that. They're just taking them down. So, and before I was getting those through, I was being able to say a lot of stuff. And so when all of a sudden they come in and they start doing like this sweep, like going through your shit and all that, it's like, and it always goes like a bumper to after. Like, there was a whole bunch of people who started following me. Then they put out like a stop to it. Then my account just sits there. Oh yeah, and somebody else who hadn't seen me in a long time came on and said, I haven't seen you in so long. You popped up on my FYP page, and your hair's gotten so much darker. And so, see, people who have seen me a long time ago and hadn't seen me in a while, they've noticed, like, because aging isn't real. This isn't just some magic trick I'm doing. All I'm doing is I've been detoxing and all that stuff for a long time. So that's why I keep pushing it and telling people you can reclaim your health. And then I mean, I have to go out and breathe this shit all the time. I've said, like, we're constantly being sprayed. I swear to God, we are Camp Lejeune here or something. And I said, well, we've been getting sprayed. I've been fucking talking about it for years, with the fog, the fake sun. I'm so excited now that the fake sun has become like, because I was talking about it so much. And everybody thought I was so fucking crazy. And I kept saying, no, that is not the real sun. I told so many people. I was saying it on here. I was saying it. And anyways, I'm just so excited now for stuff like that. But I was talking about the fog. I was talking about them spraying. I was talking about that you go outside and then you come in and all of a sudden you just got to go to sleep. All that stuff. And now I'm seeing other people that are saying, oh, what's the chances of that? I'd say it's like, because we are all being sprayed and poisoned all the fucking time. And so you have to stay on top of this. You can't just be like, oh, well, it's not going to happen to me. Yeah, it will. And you'll feel like shit and you'll be sick. And especially it's concerning when they're doing stuff to hit into the kidneys. And I know they're doing stuff to hit into the gut health, because the gut health is where you absorb your nutrition. That's why everybody's got such fucked up gut health. And so the cleansing also does good for the gut health. But the kidneys, filtration system, overrun. And all these people are having problems with their kidneys after watching that too. and then breathing and asthma or whatever, all the different kinds of things. So anyways, you've got to focus on your health because they're focused on destroying it. As long as they're trying to do that, you got to focus on saving yourself. So don't forget to love yourself and to love everyone and have a loving day. And I'll talk to you later. And hopefully I won't be so scattered. I don't know. I feel so weird today. So have a good night and I'll talk to you later. Bye.